Yeah, I mean that turbulence is definitely uneasy for most people. It
No,
can
but it
get
wasn't turbulence. It was a lightning that hit the plane,
okay. So and
and
it
it,
just drops.
yeah, and the plane just dropped like a bunch of I don't know how many feet, but in a split of a second, like he's like he felt like he was in a roller coaster going down towards
Oh my god.
I
Yeah,
was like,
that,
oh shit, all right.
did he say anything of what the pilot said after?
No, he just said that he was just trying not to like have a fucking panic attack.
Oh my god, dude, man, I don't know how I'd feel.
I know,
And
I know.
I'm fine with planes. I've grown up on planes. I used to want to be a pilot, but for a lot of people, it's kind of like being on a boat. Like a lot of people get very seasick very easily or very nervous about being on a boat. It's the same thing with planes, but I think it's more common for people to be more scared of planes. I think we got our very good friend Sharma in here. What's up?
Yo, how's it going?
Going great. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you.
Good to hear.
Morning, morning, Queenie.
Good morning, good morning.
How's your week going so far? Have you taken anything? I know you said you weren't trading until today, but
Yeah, nothing as of yet.
okay, cool. You're just waiting for PCE, huh?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Do you want to wait for a couple of your people to hop in, or are we live on YouTube?
We're live on YouTube. We can continue.
All right, let me just record a quick video for Instagram for us.
For sure. How's everyone doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. You guys were talking about some serious stuff when I hopped in.
Yeah, real crazy, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, Mother Nature can be a real whew, when she wants to be, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just gonna post this, wait for a couple other people to hop in, and then we'll get started on our breakdown. We haven't done any breakdowns yet. What I had them do was a couple of breakdowns on what we normally do during our sessions when the market's consolidating.
Yeah.
So I was figured I'd wait for you guys.
Alright, perfect. I appreciate that.
It's just we always break everything down and then we hop on with you when we do our session and we break everything down again. So I just figured we. One second. Who we got in here? We got Andreas, KB. Hold on 1 second.
No worries. Did you guys take any trades this week?
Yes. You guys, Lewis just grabbed GJ this morning. It was a nice little trade there.
Oh, nice.
Looks like we're dropping right now. I'm just kind of waiting. Hold on 1 second. I grabbed that US 30 trade yesterday. I was happy with.
The little cell?
Yeah. I left the runner and the runner got stopped at break even, but I love the way it moves.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like the adrenaline runs a lot more when you first enter the trade. That's starting to go away, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it moves. A lot of pips.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into the economic calendar over here. So this morning we actually got GDP coming out of Great Britain, which was above positive. It was better than what they were expecting over here. Current account as well was in the positives, or not positive, but better than expected here. But then going into Europe over here, we actually had CPI come out, main CPI with everything at 10%. Right? I know Germany's CPI right now is at 10% as well. Now Europe, this is excluding alcohol, food, all that stuff. That's excluding that. That's at 4.5% or 4.8% here. So their unemployment rate was the same as what they were expecting and previous. But moving into New York and what we're all trading is going to be PCE coming out for the Fed, which is their main gauge for inflation. So that's what we're going to be looking at here on gold, US 30. Going to be breaking those down for you. But later on this morning, 10 a.m., we got consumer sentiment, inflation expectations coming out of University of Michigan. And then we got Bowman and Williams speaking later on this afternoon and this morning. All right, so something in the chat. Good morning, buddy. Andreas. So, looking at, we'll start with GJ over here because we're having a nice move coming down. GJ, as you guys know, I have these historical levels marked up. What a liquidity grab down here at 149, right? We came right back down to that level and ended up rejecting it perfectly and coming all the way back up here. I thought we could possibly, come back up here, flip up here, and then we'll be pretty content sitting here for the rest of the week unless we get something major. But we ended up pushing all the way back up to 162. Didn't reach 166, but we ended up reaching 162 up here, and now we're starting to retrace a little bit. And you can see that previous support right here, which we can mark off on the actual chart. Right here. Right, so we've been holding that support for a little bit before tapping in at 166 again and 168 perfectly right here, and then we ended up tanking right through that level. So right now we're respecting that area right now. Are we going to hold that as a resistance, or are we going to be pushing through it over here as well? Looking at the daily now. Daily came into that level perfectly, right? Closed with no top wick. That's a hint for you that we may be exhausting around this area. Also, you got the previous support, another hint. And then now we push into this level of 162 flat and then end up flipping bearish, right? So it looks like this candle ended up passing the high right away and then flipping bearish over here. So are we going to hold that resistance here for then maybe next week where we create that top wick, or maybe tap into this area again and then we continue right back down and retest the lows? Or we end up closing above this level and we possibly can continue up. So far on the daily levels, we have that resistance right there that we could be reaching. Clean move to the left over here, and this move as well that you can mirror up. But right now we're sitting right below it. 4 hour ended up kind of like faking that area out. You do have this support or resistance right here that ended up holding as a support, but then we faked it out. We're now below that level. We've been forming some lower highs. You could mark that off. That's like the third time we kind of tapped into that area over here, and now we got like that last tap. We had the previous support right there, now holding a resistance, so that becomes a key area. You could also drag that to the left as well a little bit. So we bounce off that hard. Now we have clean candles coming down over here. How far could we come? That's a good question. We do have a previous support right here that we may need to be aware about. So far we got these levels, but once you break below that level, you should be continuing right back down over here. And this might be the next place you want to secure, unless you want to secure at 158, which is our historical psychological level. I would definitely be securing there anyway. Looking at the 1 hour now. 1 hour. Let's just clean up these zones a little bit. There you go. That was your support. Again, we ended up bouncing off this area. I'm just going to adjust this. Ended up bouncing off this area over here and then coming back down to this previous resistance and holding a support. Then we got this retest of this area, previous resistance and support. Got that retest, last tap, and then we ended up tanking from there. So we got some clean moves coming down over here, but now we're starting to approach this support right here, right? But once we break that, again, clean move coming all the way down anywhere into this area. You got at least 140, 50 pips coming down to 158, but then you got this whole area right over here, previous resistance, 250. You got about 250 pips right there. 30-minute over here, starting to approach that area as well. I would actually probably move this. Nah, you can keep it right there. Yeah, that's good. You got that support, you got the resistance right there. Clean closes. 15-minute ended up is about to close in a second here. Strong bearish candle close right here. So if this is the 30-minute, even though we didn't close below this level over here, that's a strong close. I could see this being a short-term pullback. As long as you get the top wick on this candle and we pass below that candle, I could see a clean move coming down. But this is also the 15-minute. If that was the 30-minute, I would take that. 30-minute over here, let's see how it ends up closing. I would wait for New York and wait for the news to come out. But we could very well be continuing down as long as we get that close below this whole area. Let me actually just thicken this up. Yeah, so once you break through this level over here, you get these clean moves coming down at least right into here, this support. So that's definitely enough range for you to trade it. About 100 pips right there. But I love this close. Short-term pullback, hard push from this area. We got the pullback that we were talking about right this morning, guys. And now we're continuing right back down. But again, we need to see a top wick formed on the next 30 and price passing a low for us to possibly take something like this. Anybody have anything to add?
I think it's important to wait for the candle close below that zone prior to any entry, or even a continuation down.
Especially on a Friday.
On a Friday, it's end of the month, it's end of the quarter, it's end of the week.
Easy to get faked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, could it happen? Could we drop? Absolutely. But, like, you guys want to be a little bit more safe on Mondays and Fridays, end of the quarter, end of the month, like Sharma said. It's you guys got to be a little bit more conservative. All right? But this entry right here, I think if you guys were trading at the time, this is a trade I would have taken. But we were hopping on the breakdown of the live stream at the time. You got this candle closed. And what I was breaking down for them as well is the fact that, like, when you're kind of calling tops like this, even though we're bouncing off a key area, when you're calling tops like this, typically you want to wait for this retest before taking any kind of sells, right? But right here, you ended up getting a very strong candle close cleanly below that support right here, right? This candle created that healthy top wick, passed below that candle, and then you could have entered right here, stop loss up here, secured at 1-to-1, right? And that would have been your pre-New York trade. Clean move to the left as well. But again, I would be securing majority of this here during pre-New York because I would be expecting this pullback, and then you could possibly scale in from there. But again, this candle is a little bit too strong, right? It's all the way down here, so you would have probably missed that move for you to take a scale in. But I would be expecting this pullback right here before continuing down. Alright, let's look at GJ over here. Let's see the 15-minute close for a second. Okay, it's a strong close right here. So again, 30-minute entry if this was not Friday, right, or we had news coming out soon. Healthy top wick, we pass below that candle, could possibly squeeze out a 1-to-1 here. It's a very strong candle. Alright, gold. And we have all of our historical levels marked off. I want you just to, I know it looks like a mess, but just pay attention to a few of these levels. You got 1700 right here, and you have 1680. As you guys know, there's very significant levels on gold. And then I also marked off the bottom wick over here on the current monthly candle, right? So next month or next candle over here, and then, by next week for us, could we be forming that top wick over here and then continuing down? I think we got that pullback yesterday with fear in the market from, if you look at some of the lower time frames here, fear in the market from the recession that we're currently in. That price pulled back, waiting for PCE today, and then if we get really bad PCE, we could continue right back down. For the Fed, or the market anticipating the Fed to increase the rates even more, right, with bad PCE. All right, we could get that spike up, right, with initial fears of inflation if we get bad, and then we could continue down, is what I'm saying. But right now we got a nice bounce off that area, 1615, which was a previous support over here that price really, skyrocketed from over here back in March of 2020. Different times at that point. Obviously, we had the COVID happening at that point, but right here, price is bouncing off that level perfectly. So we're getting that pullback. Can we continue right back down? Get some strong bearish candles closing in these areas, but it ended up reaching its limit before pulling back. So you're looking at 1680. Could we be pulling back into there to continue down? Let's look at the daily. So the daily is, again, a little bit clearer. You have that previous support over here, and I'm sure we're going to end up moving this down, and it looks like price closed right back into the range over here because you have these wicks. But right now, these candles are getting a little bit weaker. We have that strong bounce off 1614, or 1615, whatever you want to call it. Ended up closing a strong bullish candle. This one closes like a doji candle, like very weak. right? So this one creates its bottom wick, passes the low, the high of the candle, pushes up to create this top wick, pushes into that area, and now it's starting to retrace from there, right? So could we be coming down from here later on? Looking at the 4 hour. So now you can see 4 hours clearly back into the range, right? You could just mark it off like this, somewhere around here. Ended up closing back into the area officially, I would say, with these candles right here. We retest the previous support, right? Get a strong bullish close. Now this candle is like engulfing it, right? So it's telling me that we're really in a consolidation again. We need to break below this area before taking sells back down to here, and then you're gonna have the moves down to here, and then obviously 16, 15. But the question is, are we gonna hold this support right here? All right, looking at the 1 hour, let's see what we end up adjusting here. Yeah, this whole area is kind of a mess. You can always like extend it and kind of make it big like that, but that just creates confusion. We have our most recent support right there that we could be coming into. That's what I want you guys to pay attention to. And we got a high that was just created as well during London. So we're coming down from that high, coming right back into that area. So you need, before taking sells, you need that close below here. I'd be, aware of this area right there, because you got a clean move below it, coming down into this support. Right, but I think that if we get that close below this support right here, we should be continuing down. But this might be the safer route if you want to wait for the sells to continue down. 30 minute might be a little bit clearer. Yeah, 30 minute gets a little choppy here. I would honestly.
I would keep the zone at the same place that you had it, just tighten it up a bit more.
As far as like, you like it thinner?
Yeah.
It's like right there?
Yeah, right around there.
Okay. Cool. And then, you can always mark this off. Right there. See if you have enough range in this area. Only got about 25 pips. That's not that much on gold. Right? So you may want to wait for safer sells below this area. Depending on the setup. I'm not going to say don't trade in here. But if you get that perfect, close below, get the pullback, and then continue down, you may be able to grab it up here, and then price pushes through this area with some hard volume from the news. Anything to add, Sean?
No, that's about it. It's a straight sell, so we have yet to wait for some retracements coming back into previous consolidation areas. Expect some volatility, especially when we're about to have New York open in about 7 minutes.
Yes. Absolutely. Anybody have any charts they want us to go over? Nice quick breakdown. Do you want to do US 30?
Yeah, I was actually going to send you the chart here real quick as well. Or actually, I can go over it if I can share the screen.
Yes. All you.
Alright, perfect. Give me 1 second here. Oh, can you enable screen sharing, please?
Yes.
Someone commented start trading.
Start sending charts, buddy.
Well, there's that, but let the setup come and then start trading.
Yeah, pre-New York before PCE.
Yep.
Patience.
Alright, let me go over all the levels first.
Sure.
Alright, let's start off with the quarterly. So it's the last day of the quarter. And then next week, we start to see new candles forming. So I'm going to mark off the current quarterly low, the bottom wick rejection right here. So that's that, let's just call it 28,800 flat. There you go. So previous resistance here as well that we're already tapping into before we had that massive sell-off in 2020, and then a continuation right back up after all that liquidity that was provided into the markets. So that's going to be the first level. Drop down to the monthly. I'm going to mark off right here into this break and retest support, and then a continuation back up. We come back and reject right into that area in June. hold on to this area essentially for support prior to grabbing some more liquidity from all this all-time high consolidation, and then a continuation down from there. And that's that 30,000 mark that we finally broke below. Come down to the weekly. So it's been a straight sell after this massive consolidation that we've had all the way up top here. So we held on to this nice support. Price comes back, grabs liquidity, and then a continuation back down. We push back up into these areas here once again. The candles start to get weaker, and then another straight sell. You got a nice break and retest, which is the volume that we're still continuing with, but we have yet to wait for some more pullbacks after we broke this 30,000 strong level, as you can see. So pullbacks and then a continuation back down from there is really what's gonna, help us continue this volume going into even next quarter to end off the year. So I'm definitely waiting for some pullbacks here on the weekly time frame or even on the daily time frame, and then a continuation back down, eventually to come back and revisit into this 27,000 to 26,000 mark. So those would be the two levels I'm going to mark off, and then drop down to the daily time frame. When we come here, this is really where your consolidation is. So right here, we got where you have that consolidation resistance, and then you see the volume starting to die down here. We get a bottom wick rejection right into that 28,800, push right back up, and then after that we held on to a strong resistance here once again. Price pushing back down. The current daily candle, as you can tell, it's a lot of indecision going into PCE. That's what the markets have been waiting for essentially the entire week. And then if we can get that continued volume, if we can continue to get the data, the supporting data from PCE, then I do expect US 30 to continue pushing down. And again, like we said, the reason why that the markets are consolidating so much this week is because the Fed is watching out for what's going to happen with PCE data to really make the decision of how aggressive they are going to be with these interest rate hikes going into next year, where they're targeting that 4.5%. So now you have that support here on the daily time frame with this consolidation. Drop down to the 4-hour. So within this consolidation, you're still getting these lower highs and lower lows that are being formed. So we come back and revisit into these previous highs, hold on to a resistance. You start to see exhaustion in these candles here before a massive sell-off that starts off. And then we come back and tap into these previous support areas. Again, we have seen exhaustion here before. Pushes back up, starts holding on to this lower high. So now the question is, can we continue pushing down? So if you're already in a sell, like I am, you would be targeting this area first as some sort of partials, and then a continuation back down from there. But as we get closer to news coming out, so let's say in the next 15 minutes or so, you should be managing your trade. There's going to be a lot of volatility. Again, this is what markets have been waiting for the entire week. So expect a lot of volatility when PCE comes out. Usually, if it's close to what the forecast number was or even the previous number, the markets have kind of priced that in. But if it comes out lower than previous, or if it comes out, higher than the forecast, that's when you would expect, a lot more volatility into the markets, because that's not something that we were expecting. So if there's a miss by the previous, or if there's a miss by the forecast, then you can expect the markets to show volatility. And then dropping down to the hourly. So continuation here from this lower high as price pushes down. The next candle gives you a nice top liquidity grab, and then we see that liquidity being followed right into the following hourly candle, which is the current one, where we barely made a top wick rejection, continues to push down, and then after this we've kind of rejected this and we're just fluctuating into these areas. So what we want to see is in the next minute or so, when this candle closes, can the next candle make a top wick and then continue pushing down as PCE comes out, as the sentiments get ready for the news release, or are we just going to see price kind of consolidating out here if it's between the range that was already being forecasted? And I'm going to tighten up the zone here as well and bring this down. So any clean sells for longer term would be below this 29,100, and then a continuation down into 28,800.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how we kind of broke through this area, It's almost like a fake out.
Yeah.
over here. Obviously, this is a major resistance, so price going to react to that, but get like a fake out over here. So I agree. Like if you get that close below here, should be continuing down.
Absolutely.
Because then you're no longer consolidating.
Yep. So going on to the 30-minute time frame, resistance, push back down, we get another pullback, and then that's pretty much when the down starts happening about 2.5 hours ago. And so here's the new daily or new hourly candle. And so what we want to wait for is some sort of top wicks prior to continuation down. I always look for a top wick because that's the liquidity wick on a bearish candle. So if we can get a top wick and then a push back down, then that tells us that we're going to have some continued volume. Unlike the last candle, the 30-minute candle here, which did not have a top wick, but left a bottom wick rejection, so this entire range for the falling candle to fill. But we have yet to wait for the new direction on this hourly candle. So it's 30 minutes before PCE comes out. Expect that there's going to be, a little bit of top wick and bottom wick broken on some of these lower time frames, especially on the 15, where you already have this weak bullish close. With all this liquidity down here. So on a bullish candle, the bottom wick rejection is always going to be your liquidity, and then on a bearish candle, it's always the top wick. So we already have that support being formed here, setting up for this pullback that we're looking for on these hourly candles. And then if we see PCE coming out and eventually we get the data that inflation is increasing minus food and energy, then obviously that's going to be not the best thing for a US 30 here, and we will see a continuation back down, because that leads into the sentiment that the Fed can come in a little bit more aggressive. They can continue with the 75 basis point hikes going into the end of the year, or maybe we might even see their target range increasing from this 4.5, 4.6, even going up to maybe closer to 5%. Which is what's essentially necessary if you want to control inflation. You want to bring your interest rates as close as possible to the inflation numbers in order to control inflation.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hey, Sharma, stay on your screen real quick. I gotta use the bathroom, and then I'll be right back.
No worries. Let's check out gold real quick. Alright, does anyone have any questions so far?
Nope.
Alright. So the sentiment for Bank of England is they're not increasing interest rates until November. So I think that's going to help this GJ continue dropping back down. So what I would have marked off is right into these supports. And then this previous consolidation resistance. I don't think I've touched GJ in a very long time. Yeah, so the reason why you want to be careful, the zones that Steph had marked off, was because if price just bounces off of this and continues back up, this is essentially a new support. The last time we've had that was into all of this consolidation, push back up, and this was the last support prior to this rally up. So I think it's going to be very important to wait for this 159.500 to be broken prior to a continuation back down, if we are looking for any further sells. Does anyone on YouTube have any questions? We also just posted our new episode answering some of the questions that you guys asked on Instagram. Alright, got the flip back down. So if this candle low right here, the previous 30-minute low, is broken, then I think that would be the proper entry for GJ to continue back down.
Can you repeat that again? What did you say?
If this low here, 30-minute low, is broken, then I think that'd be the proper entry for this GJ sell to continue back down.
What would your next support level be?
The first partial that I would actually take is going to be continuation down right around here, 158, 500, or even 600, and then target into 157. And you might get that getting into the end of the day, or maybe even, you know, if you're someone who would carry your trade out going into next week, then you can do that. But once price taps into this 158, 600, then I would trail my stop loss definitely.
That 30-minute looks great.
What's that?
That 30-minute on GJ looks awesome.
Yeah.
Only thing is, you got that support right there. I would actually mark it like somewhere right here.
Down here?
Yeah.
You could wait for that entire clear out. But this looks like a nice break and retest right here. So if this low's broken, I think we'd have clean sells coming back down here at least.
Yeah. Now, do you think with news would push it down even more, or it's really a gamble as well being in this before PCE?
I think it'd be a gamble before, because this is something that the markets are watching out for. This is something that the Fed is watching out for. It's quite similar to, you know, when we trade NFP, it's NFP week, and a lot of the times the markets will just consolidate the entire week, and you're like, okay, there's probably a good setup with NFP, but then as soon as news comes out, it's within the range and the markets don't end up doing anything. If that's the case, if PCE comes out within this range that we're already expecting, then, you know, the markets might not do anything. It might just be some fake outs and then continuation right back into these zones here.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have plenty of time to trade too. Like, Lewis, you took your trade this morning, which is awesome. But like, you got some time as well. Like, after New York opens, like we already had New York open, then we have PCE coming out. Then you have the stock exchange opening at 9:30 to react to the news, and then you got volume all the way till like 10 or 11 that you could be grabbing your second opportunity of the morning. So, patience, right?
Yep. All right. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Any questions on YouTube?
Nothing yet.
Alright, so I like to go back to the higher time frames when marking these charts off. I'm just getting this really hard rejection of that resistance right over there. Looking at the 1 hour, again, like safe sells, really going to be below this level over here. It gets a little choppy over here. I know it looks complicated to kind of mark off. You could actually move that right there. That might be a little bit better for you. But once you break here, you got a couple cleaner moves that you could be mirroring, because you got this whole area. Oh, no, not that. That. You got that. Over here. It's looking good. It's a nice bearish move coming down. Alright, any questions, guys? Beautiful. 30-minute breaking the low.
We're probably going to see these energy prices continue to rise. About 30 minutes ago, OPEC oil output cut talks narrowed to 0.5, 1.0. Yeah, if you continue down onto the news tab.
OPEC.
Right there.
Output talks. Wow. I mean, they've been doing that all year.
Yeah, but I guess they were convinced to increase the output actually instead of cutting the output for some time.
Who convinced them of that?
What's that?
Who convinced them of that?
Biden, of course.
Yeah,
And
but I mean, they've been so. I feel like they'd be more receptive to other countries other than the U.S.
yeah, I mean, it was a combination of, think about UK, think about Europe, think about
Sure.
United States, right? All these different countries. But
Yeah.
they end up saying at one point, they're like, that's not really our problem. Like, we look at the global demand, we're not looking at individual countries.
Mm.
And so we put out whatever the output is according to whatever the global demand is. It's up to the individual countries to figure out how they're going to manage their supplies.
Hmm. It baffles me that we, like, if the United States wanted, like, we would be by far the leaders in oil output, than any other country in the world if we wanted to. But we literally cut all that off, and now we're trying to outsource it all. And now we're basically dependent on other countries to do it. Like, why? We could be making so much money right now. And I know there's obviously environmental stuff that we got to worry about, but it's also natural gas, which is the cleanest kind of energy you can have when it comes to fuel, or not fuel, but oil. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense. A lot doesn't make sense. I'm sure you guys know that, right, Jamie?
Well, I'm sure they're
Absolutely.
not going to do something like that. I mean, they have like the Paris Agreement or the Paris Treaty, whatever it is, and other things like that. But they're essentially trying to move off of, fossil fuels and whatnot. But at the end of the day, in order for your global economy to work, you need to have comparative advantage if trying to instead of trying to go for absolute advantage. That's when you would just end up closing off your borders and saying like, we can do what we want to do, which is what China did for the longest time until they realized.
Yes. Yep. Well, you said no questions on YouTube?
No.
Awesome. Yeah, so this, oh, I did it again, Sammy. There we go. Let's see what we got here. Oil. But yeah, US 30, the, trade I got yesterday, I could break it down for you guys. Right here. Perfect setup. Nice break and retest of this area. Right over here. Hard push down yesterday. Where we came down, created this low. We come up, retest. Strong 30-minute candle close. I took it as soon as this 30-minute candle passed the low of that candle. Stop loss right here. And I took it down. I believe I secured, last time I secured was this wick fill. And then, we ended up coming back and stopped me at a break even, which was right here. So it came back up around like 3:30.
So who's the Zoom user that's literally sleeping on the screen right now with the camera on? You might want to turn your video off.
You really called him out, huh?
Yeah, literally called them out.
Yeah.
I don't even have video on for anyone on YouTube, just so everyone can see the prices.
That bother you?
That was
Dave?
me this morning, bro.
Oh, like tired? Yeah, Lewis came on the screen, told us he took a trade on GJ. It sounded like he was still asleep. That was great. No, but yeah, with our group this morning, I was talking about like waiting for those trades that you're like 90% sure that they're gonna play out.
Yep.
These are those trades, right? These are those setups. If you guys are beginners on YouTube, or if you guys are just coming into the groups, these are the ones you want to look for. Like if your main setup is a break and retest, this is the perfect break and retest you could possibly be taking. And that was a lot of points over here.
And you've got the same setup right now as well, as price is pushing back down.
Eh.
So if you drop down to like the 15-minute time frame. Oh, I was gonna break down my trade. I forgot to do that. But
Okay.
no, go ahead. I was gonna annotate on your screen.
Oh yeah. All right.
All right. So here with this massive sell-off. So price. Let me remove this here. All right. So price holds on to this resistance area, and then we push back down. Right here, our nice retracement, continuation back down, and then you get a break and retest. And then this was where I ended up taking the entry, and then the stop loss was right above the current or the entry 15-minute high, since we had already made that resistance, and then come back and target this as the final TP, but take some partials along the way as price continues to push down. And then same setup right here where you've got, you know, this little bit of a push up. We've already made that top wick that we were talking about when we were doing the breakdown. So let's see if we can continue pushing down, you know, going into the news. And I think that would be another potential scalp opportunity if someone just wants to take a quick scalp, right? Like right between this and come down here. It's not that big of a range, but US 30 gives you a much better movement than, you know, gold or anything else. I'm pretty sure you can attest to that too, Steph, now that you're getting into it. So, you know, that could be a potential setup. As soon as this previous low here has been broken and then price, you know, fluctuates back up a little bit, that's your entry right here. Keep your stops above the previous 15. And right before news comes out, take some partials.
And so you're in this right now?
Yeah, I took an entry at 29,263.
Okay. Are you going to close it before the news?
I'm going to take some partials before the news. I'm going to close out majority of the trade before the news.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm saying I love US 30 right now. I haven't taken a loss on it yet, so maybe when I take a loss, that might be a little different, but it'll always be well managed. It's
a double-edged sword, right? So if you could make great profits off of US 30, you can make great losses too. So this is why your risk management has to be on point. And it's going to change from like pair to pair depending on the volatility. Like if you're trading major pairs, they tend to be a little bit slower. So then your risk management, you know, you could be a little bit more lenient, kind of just let it run and whatnot. But once you start moving into indices or even commodities like gold, oil, that's when you want to be a lot more careful with your risk management.
Absolutely. You gotta, and that comes into like micromanaging trades, and you know, you gotta have your set rules for how you're gonna manage trades as far as like candles passing the higher low. Mainly, you want to wait for candles to close before managing risk, but it gets to the point where like you could end up micromanaging, especially on like a newer pair, and that's okay, but that's where you learn, right? Like if you micromanage a trade, you maybe cut some and draw down, you're just not comfortable with that drawdown, whatever the case may be, you're just trying to get used to that pair, right? So and micromanaging can come at any time where like, let's say you don't trade the day before or something like that. I had that the other day where we took forget what we took. I think it was gold. Guys, was it gold or GJ yesterday? Or was it? I think Lewis was in it and Sammy.
It was gold on the 1 hour.
Gold on the 1 hour. Yes, it was right over here, right? Yeah. Yeah, it was right over here. So we saw the support being held. Strong bullish candle close with a wick to fill. Then we had this candle. The 15 minute ended up pushing up and then closing bearish. So when that 15-minute closed bearish, I ended up closing half of it, and then we came down past the low of it. I ended up closing the full thing, but we ended up continuing back up. But that was because I didn't trade the night before because I didn't have enough sleep. But that's a different story. But this is where
imagine if we would have held a trade, bro.
I mean, the thing was, where do we have our stop loss? Right here. Yeah, that would have been nice.
Right?
Do you hold us?
No, hell no. I remember I closed it right before the news came out.
Hell no.
That was at 8. That was at 8. Remember the news came out at 8:30, and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna gamble with this.
Yeah.
And the news came out. And like they had like a liquidity grab. Literally went back to my entry, and then it just skyrocketed. But it's fine.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You're talking about this, or?
Yep.
Okay.
At 8:30, whatever 8:30 candle was that huge liquidity grab to the downside, and then
Yeah, we came down, grabbed liquidity, and then continued right back up. But that was a strong support right here.
Yeah,
that we were looking at, and that was a great candle. Yeah, we were forming these higher lows. We saw this bottom wick form past the high. I ended up grabbing GJ later on, I think it was. Yes, sir. Oh, that's right. Yeah. After the stream over here, we ended up getting that close above. I grabbed a quick piece of this, but I didn't like how the 4 hour didn't create its bottom wick. Right, we kind of just like took off from here, but we got that clean close. We were breaking this down. We had the higher low formed over here during Asian, and then price just continued up from here. Wish I held the whole thing, but I was on the road at the time. But right over here, we got that quick pullback into that area. But this 4 hour candle right at 9 o'clock just took off without us. Alright, so we got about 10 minutes left for the news to come out. GJ is retracing over here. We're reacting to this support, right? So you just really want to wait for the news to come out.
I think that micromanaging part that you were talking about, all of that is part of, before you hop into like any new pair, you should be paper trading it for, I would say like at least a month.
Yeah.
I think it takes at least a month to kind of figure out, what's your trading strategy going to look like for that specific pair. What's your risk management going to look like for you to understand from a fundamental perspective what really moves that pair? Mm-hmm. And even like the timing of it and everything. I think overall, just to understand a pair in general, it would take you about a month. And so before you hop into like any pair, you should already have figured out, how you're going to manage your trade if, X, Y, and Z setup shows up, right? Or if there's news that's coming out and that pair is a lot more sensitive to news, then how would you manage would you decrease your stop loss? Would you same thing, close out 50 and then let trade hit your stop loss? Like what would your risk management essentially going to look like there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think it is important to understand too that like you're not going to be completely comfortable and set with your risk management on a new pair once you finish that backtesting window or the live backtesting window. Like I've been looking at US 30 for about a year, but barely, like I've been kind of on and off with it for the year, but the last few months I've really been looking at it.
Yeah.
And in the last month I've been trading it. Maybe the end of last month I've been trading it a little bit as well. And there's still going to be that period. I want you guys to understand that like you're going to still have lessons, and whether that's micromanaging or the types of trades that you take. But don't get discouraged from that because that's a lesson, right? It's something that you learn from as long as you're not over risking. And even if you do over risk and you lose that trade and you gotta spend a week or two making your profits back, again that's still a lesson to tell you, okay, it's not worth over trading. Because at any point you could catch a loss and then all of a sudden you're down 3, 4, 5%, or even 10% if you're really over risking.
Absolutely. And obviously the emotional trading and all of that tends to kick in for majority of the people when it's a live account. So yeah, you could backtest and you could paper trade and everything like that, but it is always 100%, it's always going to be different when you actually start live trading. The whole point of paper trading, backtesting, journaling, and having all that data and all that setup and everything for you is so that when the live markets, when you're getting ready to trade in the live markets, that at least you have something like a foundation to go off of, right? You're not going in blind. But obviously, for a lot of people, majority of the people, emotional trading kicks in as soon as, they realize that it's a live account and it's real money on the line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I just closed out 50% of my trade as we end up ranging around here before news comes out. And then I also decreased my stop loss right above the previous 15-minute wick high.
So we're kind of like following your trade here.
Yeah, sure. So just close out 50 here, and then waiting for price. There's gonna be wick rejections and stuff, but that's why I closed out 50 here. So then I'm looking for another scale in, depending on where the price is gonna move after PCE comes out.
Were you looking for this wick fill before securing?
I was, and then I saw like the previous 15-minute, the way that it closed, that was giving me some more confirmations that we could end up continuing back down. But as soon as the current 15-minute broke the low and then pushed back up, right here, and now we're just ranging here. That's where I closed out 50% my trade, because I'm also watching the 5-minute right before the news comes out. And the 5-minute is just consolidating.
Yep. We're still forming these lower highs, but at the same time we're holding support here.
Yep.
So, like, the question is, do you have enough range, or not range, but time for price to just drop and fill this area over here before news?
Probably not. Not in the next 5 minutes. Or the current 5 minutes.
Exactly. That's exactly what we were going over this morning, too. Just understanding, like, when you get, like, a strong close below or above a support or resistance, the next candle, if it creates that top wick and then passes the low, is it worth taking that sell or that buy? Because you got to see what time it is, right? Like, how much time does it have to actually fill that previous wick or continue down, or at least, like, push to get that 1-to-1?
Yeah. Alright, there you go. That's that volatility right before the news.
There we go. So we'll keep US 30 over here to the left. I'll throw gold over on the right.
I just pulled up Financial Juice as well, because sometimes you'll see like a lot more data there than Forex Factory. Now we got 4 minutes before news comes out.
What we got in here? We got KB. Boy. Borga.
Look at the first news that just on your screen.
We urge Kiev to immediately halt military operations and return to the English. Yeah, dude, I think he's panicking a little bit. Like, the fact that he is now starting to bring, like, normal citizens in, like, that's a big telltale sign. The first one was the fact that they couldn't take Ukraine in a couple of days. It's like, what's up with that? And then now he's drafting people, and you see the lines of people leaving Russia. I don't know if you've seen these videos.
I haven't seen all those videos now.
Oh yeah, there's people just lined up, like so much traffic leaving Russia just so that they could get out because they don't want to be drafted. And then I saw these videos on Instagram of they're speaking in Russian, but it's basically like basic training for these average people, and what they're giving them is like nothing.
Yep.
To fight. Like I watched in the beginning of this war videos of like Russian soldiers kind of releasing what they're getting to eat and everything, and they're like MREs. Does anyone know what MREs are? Well, they're these like basically packaged meals for the military, right? And it's like microwave food or just really fake food. It's like astronaut food, and they were all expired. And that's what they're giving their soldiers. So, I mean, could all be just social media stuff, and might not all be the truth, but you know, that's what it looked like. KB's on US 32, huh?
Let's go.
Love it. US 30 gang. Let's see, how do I pull this up? I don't like this. How do I just get this stuff over here?
Alright, it's the last couple of seconds.
PCE, yeah, we got 40 seconds left. You guys can see this down here?
Yep. I think from that news we could probably see gold pushing up.
Let me see over here. Let me get myself ready. I Not gonna be trading the news, guys. Remember, trade the reaction to the news. Anything other than that is gambling. So just wait, be patient. All right. Released.
Ooh, push right back down. Let's go.
What did he grab? What are you thinking, Sharma?
I'm gonna wait for this 1 minute candle to close here first on PCE and US 30, and then
Gold is still. Oh wow. Okay. Inflation rose again.
so that means they're gonna come in with another aggressive hike.
Yep. US 30 is gonna continue down over here. We ended up breaking support. 1 minute support over here. So can the 1 minute like kind of like pull back over here, hold a resistance, and would you be looking for a sell from there?
I want to see a deeper drop down. I want to see if you hop onto the daily real quick. I want to see this daily support here being broken and then a push back down. See how we barely tapped into it and then we pulled right back up. So not the wicks, but just the candle right here. So I want to see if we can continue breaking below that, and then if so, then I would target the previous daily low first, and then see if we have enough volume to carry it down into 28,800 going into next week. But next week is also a new quarter, so that's why you want to be very careful.
Yes. It's a perfect setup right over here on the daily. It's a strong daily close right here yesterday. But like the question is, can we break below that support like you said?
Absolutely.
Gold just playing around over here.
I think the
Gold
more
can go either way.
I think the more important thing for gold right now was that the Putin statement.
The Putin statement.
Yeah, because the entire year all we've seen is like just war stuff, right? That's it.
That could be it.
No like negotiations, or I mean they tried to do negotiations but it didn't work. He wasn't interested, and so now for him to come out and say that
Literally comes out right before PCE. Alright, so we were talking about that close below the 1 minute over here. We pull back into the range, maybe get that second tap. Can we continue down? But you also guys have the stock exchange open, right? And a lot of times on gold, you end up seeing that pullback on either way before continuing down when the market opens. So can we close below here?
for US 30, if we can close below that daily low or that daily support, then I would go in with like another 1.5, because right now the first trade was 1%, close out 50% of that, so I have 50% or 0.5% running.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I would go in with like another 1% or 1.5%.
Do you like it as it's creating a top wick passing the low?
Yeah, if it can continue pushing the previous low though, because the last candle closed with no bottom wick, or like barely a bottom wick.
Mm-hmm. Not much range. You do have this wick to fill, but it's looking like it's struggling around here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a strong retest of this whole area. It's like a last liquidity grab, and then you get this top wick formed, passing the low. Gold again, still playing around. I guess, yeah, you're right. Mixed data on gold. With Putin.
Yep, it is end of the week candle, end of the month candle, everything.
This is actually awesome. Like, that's coming from Putin too.
God damn, bro.
We'll see how, what was that?
Someone on YouTube just spamming this shit.
What did he say?
It's just best adult dating site, whatever.
Oh, nice. Well, you get a little horny in the morning. Just the market turns them on.
I gotta put in the moderator thing in there.
Yeah. the West is waging a hybrid war on Russia. I mean, we're kind of in like a proxy war with them right now because we're doing everything but supplying man. We're supplying money, we're supplying weapons, we're supplying all that stuff. So it's basically the U.S. is involved in it.
Well, they are. So is the UK,
Yeah.
and then of course Europe is supporting Ukraine too, with this entire situation. So it's not something new.
What do you think actually happens with like we could see a shakeup in the EU now with this new prime minister in Italy.
Yeah. I don't.
I was just
I
gonna
mean,
say,
right
wonder
now
what
it's
happened.
yeah. Right now, I think it's more of gonna be like getting a handle on this entire Russia-Ukraine thing because obviously that's heavily impacting even the entire Europe.
Absolutely. Yeah, they gotta worry about energy and all that stuff. Alright. Let's see. Did we get any movement here on GJ? Hold on 1 minute here. Yeah, GJ pulled back over here, so we're still holding that resistance, but that was a strong close, just no top wick. So this is a range. I would stay out of this. This becomes your no trade range. Right, and I would wait for that break below the support over here before continuing this thing down. And again, we could get that pullback even into here before NYSE open, and then we continue down. But we shall see.
Yes.
We're still technically in a bullish trend here.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like, if that zone is broken, then we can look for a sell back down. If price just bounces off of that area, then it's more of just price creating a higher low.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that was a strong move yesterday. Coming all the way up, creating that resistance right here, tapping into that area again. Every time you make a move like this, expect some consolidation before just trying to call tops and continuing down. Like, I'm sure there are a ton of people, after you got that bearish close, engulfing close right there with the wick to fill, a lot of people probably tried taking sells from there.
Yep.
Right? And then you ended up getting this, if you have expertise in this pair, you're going to know you're going to get that last tap before price possibly continues down. Let's go back to US 30 now. Looks like we're dropping.
We're just consolidating around this area still.
Yes. So, the prime time to really trade this pair, I would say, is after NYC, correct?
I would say, yeah, after like New York Stock Exchange open.
Yeah.
And then usually like after an hour of New York Stock Exchange open, or like 30 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And good movement. But again, we are tapping into these higher time frame levels. Right now where we're sitting at is the previous weekly resistance before that drop down that happened in 2020.
Mm.
Right, so if you hop up to the weekly real quick for US 30.
I like how the 5 minute close below that level.
And then look to the left a little bit. So that's exactly where we're sitting right now is the previous resistance before that drop down that happened in 2020, where the Fed legit stepped in, injected money into the stock market, and then we saw a continuation right back up.
Yeah, this is the level that I was saying. I'm wondering if the market ends up breaking below the highs from COVID. Right, these are the previous highs. We literally doubled the market after that. Right, so now that we're coming back into it, are we going to continue to break below it, or will we kind of hold the support over here? I mean, the market is not doing too well, but I was going to say if that was our low for the market, that we retest and then we continue up with some kind of recovery, but we're nowhere near the possibility of that happening.
I think on the higher time frames, we are going to continue pushing down, and then going into like the end of the year, we could see a retracement below this 28 or like 29,000, 28,800 level, and then a continuation down from there going into next year. I think we could end off this year below this 30,000 mark. and then as price continues pushing or we continue dropping down, I would expect like more around this 25,000, 24,000 mark is really when it's going to catch the attention of the Fed, and maybe we're going to slow down these rate hikes, or maybe even not do any rate hikes and put out the sentiment that this is the level that we're going to sit at for some time. I do think that as price continues pushing down, we come below 25,000 or below, I think that's when the Fed is going to start injecting money again.
Okay. Makes sense. I was just looking at this 5 minute, how we closed below. Get the week 5 minute closing below as well.
Yep.
So it's been about 10 minutes after the news, and this is what we say, like, wait for the news to come out, then wait 5, 10, 15 minutes after, and maybe you could catch the trend continuing down and retest the low that it created or the high that it created.
Absolutely, because we haven't really broken the previous 5 minute highs yet.
Yeah. Yeah, if it respects those highs, and I guess breaks the low over here, is that something you'd be looking for?
Yeah, I'll take that trade.
Kind of consolidating here on the 1 minute, holding that support. So once we start breaking that support, this thing should continue down.
Yeah. I would be keeping my eyes now, like on the 5 minute time frame, 15 and 30, going into New York Stock Exchange. And then after about an hour into New York Stock Exchange, I won't even look at the 5 minute time frame. It's going to be 15 or 30. But realistically, today, I'm probably not even going to look at the charts after an hour after New York Stock Exchange open.
Okay. You're done for the week?
I'm done for the week, yeah.
Okay. Now, I know you didn't trade at all really this week. Is there anything you feel like you missed out on? Like that you feel like you could have grabbed?
Not really, because I still have my runners going from last week.
True, okay. That changes it.
From, yeah, I think last week is when interest rates came out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so CPI, interest rates, and then I think it was like GBP, PMI, and US 30 dropped then as well. So I still have some of my runners going from those trades. So there's really nothing that I feel like I've missed out on. If anything, I'm just happy that I didn't trade, because this entire week we've just been straight consolidating. Like this 4-hour price action, daily price action, that's not something I want to be a part of.
Are you talking just US 30?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Even with other pairs, there's really no movement that I feel like I've missed out on.
Okay. I mean, there was a good move yesterday in GJ.
For GJ particularly, I would probably, the only thing that I would say, like, I wish I took a part into was after, I think it was like Sunday market open, where we had this massive bottom wick rejection. And then after that, we held on to a support. And then the next couple of days, we just continue right back up. So I would say, like, that's probably it. Like, maybe above 157. Going into 161 area, that would be the only trade that I would probably be interested in. But honestly, even seeing that play out, that's not something... I didn't want to take part in that either.
Okay. You said 157 and 160?
161, yeah. So as soon as price broke above right here, this perfect break and retest on 157. Alright, I have no idea what just happened there, but there was some issue with this live stream.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Is it still going, or?
No, now it's going, but it got disconnected.
Okay.
On its own.
Yeah, you guys see now here on the 1 hour on GJ, it's a strong support right here, right, in a bullish trend. So we literally need, like, this is what I was talking about. You really want to wait for that break and retest before calling these tops and taking this down. You got a clean move to the left, at least a very strong 30-minute candle on the top break rejection before continuing down, but you're still respecting that higher low support that we did over here yesterday.
Absolutely. So I gotta head out, Steph.
Sure.
But is there any questions? Are you guys good to go for the remainder of the session if you're trading? You guys know what you're looking for?
Russian President Vladimir Putin announces annexation of four Ukrainian territories after sham referendums. Wow. Putin declares residents of Ukraine's, there's a couple of districts over there, or regions, he declares them Russian citizens. How do you just declare that? Okay, so this is he's trying to add these to the negotiation of like, okay, we can end this all if these four regions are ours. Alright guys, so if there's no other questions, Sharma's got to go, we'll hop off. Guys, I want you to have a great weekend. If you are not confident in your trading yet, if you're not confident in your edge, go backtest, go study previous trades, look at previous performance, and see what you could be doing better. I feel like a broken record when we always talk about this on the podcast, which by the way is going to be released today. And if you guys are beginner traders on YouTube, everything that you need to know about being successful in the market is in that podcast. Right? I'll be talking about it today on my story too. It's everything that you want to know is on that. So, psychologically wise, everything you need to know, everything you need to do to be successful is all in that one episode. So, highly recommend you guys check that out. But again, if you're not comfortable with your own trading yet, and you feel like you need more work, you're just nervous in the market, you're not willing to take any trades, use the weekend to just put the work in and study your previous performance. There's going to be a ton that you see that you could be doing better with. Even on winning trades, there's going to be things that you could be seeing like, oh, okay, I could have held that a little bit longer. I didn't have to micromanage that, or I didn't have to close that early, or I should have closed earlier on this one, but I didn't. Right? So, little things like that is what you want to pay attention to. And if you're not going to be succeeding.
Absolutely. So there are 8 things that we essentially go over in the new episode of things that we do to help us prepare for the live market. So absolutely go and watch that. And, you might even have to watch it once or twice more than just the original time. So if you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. Today we are going to have the simulation session. It's going to be on gold, and it will be at 3 p.m. PST. So I'll see you guys there. It'll be, right back here on the same YouTube channel. But as always, any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us. Stefano's Instagram is StefanosFX. Mine is